everybody. I am Azita Talaqani, professor of Persian language, literature, and linguistics at the University of Toronto. I welcome you to another inspiring monthly Elahé Omidyar Mir-Djalali Institute of Iranian Studies visual lecture series on Persian language pedagogy, new trends and innovations, jointly organized by the University of Toronto and the University of Chicago. I am co-convening this lecture series with my colleague, Professor Pune Shabani-Jadidi from the Department of Near Eastern Languages and Civilization at the University of Chicago. We are grateful for the support of the Elahé Omidyar Mir-Djalali Institute of Iranian Studies and its director, Professor Mohammad Tawakkoli Targhi, and all sponsoring academic units, University of Toronto Faculty Art and Science, Department of Near and Middle Eastern Civilization of the University of Toronto, Department of Near Eastern Languages and Civilization, Division of the Humanities, as well as the Center of Middle Eastern Studies of the University of Chicago, Iran Namak, a quarterly of the Canadian Society of Iranian Studies, and Roshan Cultural Heritage Institute. At the outset, I'd like to express our collective gratitude to Canada's Indigenous people and acknowledge this land on which the University of Toronto operates. For thousands of years, it has been the traditional land of the Huron-Wendat, the Seneca, and most recently, the Mississauga of Credit River. Today, this meeting place continues to be the home to many Indigenous people across Turtle Island, and we are grateful to have the opportunity to teach, to do research, and work and prosper in their ancestral homeland. I welcome Professor Peyman Nojoumian, who is a professor teaching of Persian at the University of Southern California, to the University of Toronto, and to our lecture series. He holds a PhD in linguistics from the University of Ottawa, Canada, and 2 masters, one in speech and language technology from Leuven, Belgium, and one in teaching Persian as a foreign language from Allame Tabatabai University, Tehran. He has published the Persian Learner Series and developed Persian Learners Dictionary, a smartphone web app for Persian learners. His most recent publication includes a chapter in the Routledge Handbook of Second Language Acquisition and Pedagogy of Persian in 2020. He has been teaching Persian for more than a decade. Professor Nojoumian is a certified active OPI, ILR, and WPT tester and trainer, and an active member of the American Association of Teachers of Persian. My friend and colleague, Professor Pune Shabani-Jadidi, will moderate 2 their sessions on innovative technology in language classroom, using visual reality in task-based language teaching. Please join me welcome Professor Nojoumian to our lecture series.
Thank you very much, Azita Jan and Pune Jan, for inviting me to this series. So today's my lecture is about technology, and it's a very hot topic, as you know, and everybody knows, and we are talking about it with our administrators and with our students. Some people are a little bit worried. So today it's a little bit, I would say, controversial that what will happen to our jobs, So I'm going to talk about that a little bit to the extent that I have researched and I have been in this field. So as they explained about my background, I did my second master in speech and language technology, and about like 20 years ago, or maybe 23 years ago, I was working in a company that as a computational linguist back in Belgium, and I was actually in the project that they were developing a language model that time. Then I totally changed my field, and I came to Canada, did my PhD in linguistics, did my thesis on computational linguistics, and then started to teach Persian. So I thought that it would be good for me to just kind of do the research on this, topic that was my background. So this is the content table of contents of my presentation today. So first, I will talk about kind of the approach that I used in this project, which is a task-based language teaching. I explain about what it means and what I mean by TBLT. I know that all of my colleagues here are very probably well versed in this approach, but I just quickly review that. And then I talk about language technology, like in a broader sense, and effectiveness. Then I touch upon innovative technology and language teaching. Specifically, I will talk about virtual reality or VR and in education, and I will talk about games. I will give you an example. Then I will talk about AI or artificial intelligence in virtual worlds. And then I will show you a pilot project and a case study that I started last semester in my Persian classes, which was using virtual reality in one module of my textbook. Then I will talk about the limitations of VR and suggestions for using VR if you haven't started to use it already. And then some reflections. And also there's some information in my presentation as the technical steps if you want to replicate this project. So task-based language teaching. So task is a real-world action, like reporting a car accident to a police officer, or showing a property to a customer, or navigating someone through a location or a map. These are different tasks. Task lists are big, but these are called like real-world tasks. So we have in TBLT, we have real-world tasks. We have pedagogical tasks, which are actually broken down tasks. So if we have, for example, a reporting car accident as a target task, then we are going to break it down into smaller tasks, and then we are going to sequence it from like harder to small to easier in order to put into our lesson plan or curriculum. So TBLT, as far as I understood, is promotes learning by doing. So, for example, in an accident reporting target task, some of the pedagogical tasks are like describe the accident in detail, narrate, find a solution, ask questions, etc. The principles based on Doughty and Long 2003 design target tasks based on learners' needs. So look at what the learners want to learn. This should be the basis of a TBLT approach. Then classify target tasks under task types, like reporting, decision making, problem solving, analysis, things like that, jigsaw, and then develop pedagogical tasks from those task types that I already talked about. Then in TBLT, we use authentic material. And what we do to authentic material, we can enhance and elaborate those authentic material and create meaningful input, but we are not impoverishing or simplifying the authentic material. So in a way, I call it engineering the text. We don't engineer, we don't put like subjunctive in a text to teach subjunctive. We just try to get the authentic, whatever it is in it, we're going to improve it, like by adding list of vocabulary, glossaries beside the text, or bolding those words that are new, adding pictures, audios, things like that is called enhancing and elaboration. Then we maximize the use of target language in the classroom. We in TBLT, you are a facilitator as a teacher, and you promote collaborative learning so that it would be adding interactivity to the learning process. Then there is a focus on form. And if you wonder what that means, it means that you have to provide kind of feedback and persuasive feedbacks to increase accuracy. You have to let the learners reach to the point that they, for example, have a question about like some form or a form, and then you give the answer or give feedback on that. So what about language technology and its effectiveness? We know that not enough research has been done yet, but we know that language technology can engage learners. It can provide multimodal input, specifically about the technology that I'm going to talk about today, the virtual reality. This multimodal input can be visual, auditory, and tactile. We have movement or haptic feedback. And what is haptic feedback is like touching sense. You know, for example, if you have a joystick playing with game, and the joystick gives you some feedback in terms of like motions and vibrations and things like that, it would be haptic. Then we know that multimodal input enhances the learning process. And if you wonder, you can go and see literature, especially in cognitive science, because of different modalities. The brain should make different networks, so neurons should make additional networks to record visual memory, auditory memory, haptic memory. So this adds much to the memory, you know, in terms of like, you know, making it more retainable and retrievable. So it, in a way, it kind of enhances learning process. I know that language technology can be adjustable to learners' pace. You know, it may create less stress and anxiety. It can be interactive and collaborative based on interactive hypothesis. Meaningful negotiations among learners are conducive to second language acquisition, and collaboration in building knowledge together or sociocultural interaction is beneficial to language learning as well. Language technology can also simulate real world tasks, allowing learners to immerse themselves and actively engage in the learning environment. So that's the best part of it, actually. So what I'm going to talk about today is simulation. So some simulated environments are difficult or impractical to recreate in the real world. For example, imagine that you want to show students of ocean biology the deep ocean and the animals there. So imagine that hundreds of feet under the ocean that human cannot go. It's not easy to take people to show them the reality, and you can just send these robots and take 360-degree camera to record it, and then bring it to the class for these students of biology and immerse them into that place. So that's perfect, you know. And sometimes I would say it's impossible environments like planetary sciences. How can you put someone into the planet Venus or the planet Mars? The environment is toxic and fatal to human beings, but we can send robots, and robots like walk or drive on that planet, and then the learners can just immerse themselves in there. So that's the best aspect, is the simulations. So it can learning language technology also can integrate all language skills, including culture. It can be employed in content-based, project-based, and proficiency-based approaches. It can utilize different communicative modes, interpersonal, interpretive, and presentational modes. And we know that it's tireless, it's accurate, it's error-free, it's fair, flexible, adaptable, accessible. But in my opinion, it remains emotionless so far, okay? So you have to hold on to that until we see the robots, humanoid robots come, and probably they show emotions because everything is being programmed now, including emotions. So while language technology has the potential to enhance language learning, there is a need to ground it in effective pedagogical foundations. So when I started to work on this project, I found that there are a lot of companies that are, I would say, rushing to develop applications for language learning so that they can, take this market from like schools and everywhere, because now they have lots of means, but the only issue right now is that they do not have access to language learning pedagogy, so they don't know what to do. So we are the people who have to give them actually the codes to the algorithm that how you have to enable these systems. So technology without pedagogy would just be a cool toy, as I'm quoting from my literature. So instructional design practices should prioritize literacy's development as a primary objective and focus on language functions. So what is virtual reality? It's an innovative technology that constructs a three-dimensional world through displays. We use a headset, we can use projectors, we can use curved monitors, things that kind of simulate both real and in practical environments, enabling interactions facilitated by multi-sensory controllers. So I don't know how many of you have had the virtual reality experience, but I will tell you, I didn't have that like last year. And the first time I used that, it's a wow, It's totally different from this monitor that you see. You are going to see 360 degrees. You will be in the middle of that environment. And it's so amazing that some of my students were just like frozen as soon as I put this headset on them. And so it's really, really a great experience for us as educators. So I recommend to see that by yourself. So these technologies today are being named a lot of different things. Augmented reality, when you use like objects in a reality, augmenting them to the reality. Then mixed reality is, for example, you are in this room and then you augment objects that are not real. And also artificial intelligence or artificial general intelligence, which is going to be like in the future, like humans. There are a lot of applications of this technology in army, health, education, fashion, business, sports, media, construction. So, for example, education in astronomy, students can study solar system virtually by physically interacting with content objects, which I told you was an impractical environment. Or students of surgery can practice surgery in simulators, or pilots actually already are using a flight simulator that are in fact perfect. And I was thinking the other day that why we don't use simulators for example, other things like driving or things that can have really impractical environments, difficult environments especially for learners that are starting to use those things. So imagine that we can send Persian students to a virtual tour in Tehran. So just having this headset, and then they are in Kakh Golestan Palace in Tehran, or they are in a traditional restaurant, or anywhere else that you want to show them. Many of the students in the United States they're not able to go to Iran and have these tours, and they are wondering at how that could be. They can watch like cultural thing, cultural products. So these are really, really immersive, and then they really, really can see things that they cannot see probably in reality. So I found one of the things that were very interesting for me was, White House virtual tour. So if you had this headset, you can connect to the YouTube VR, virtual reality YouTube, and then you can go to White House virtual reality tour, and then you see President Obama sitting in front of you in a chair, explaining the American history to you. And then he walks with you. So you go to all the rooms in White House, and he talks about all those paintings to you. And then Michelle Obama comes and show you the other places. It's an amazing experience. So just can be used for like American history or any other content, even politics probably. So VR has the potential to simulate learning environment, resulting in more interaction. It has the potential to offer experiential learning through communicative activities in which the learning happens through a creative process of discovery, expression, and synthesis. It has the potential to facilitate an immersive and multisensory experience. So VR is a novel means, in fact, for TBLT because it encourages activities such as problem solving, one of the cognitive mechanisms that drives TBLT interactions. So these are some quotes from Smith and McCura 2021 about virtual reality in education. So as you can see, VR increases interactivities. VR interactions enhance motivation and self-reflection. VR minimizes negative affective factors in learning environments. Educational technology benefits learner autonomy. VR is effective in creating a learner-centered environment, and the multimodal nature reinforces cognitive means of language acquisition. So there are lots of literature on VR in education, and you can easily find out that, it's really novel for TBLT as well. You may have heard that, people have VR, and most of them are playing games. And you wonder that, it's a game. I don't want to play games. So should I play games? Does it have any, because, games are not really popular with educators, some educators, especially digital games. Many people think that they might be violent and, things like that. But there's a big literature about gamification, things like that I studied, and it's interesting. But this game particularly is, in fact, have been developed for language students. It was a small case study reported by Smith and McCura, reports on a small, as I said, small case study on a virtual reality game. It named Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes. They use the Oculus Rift Quest, which is developed by Meta, which is like the Facebook company. 3 Japanese students of ESL participated at intermediate level. They had the task was information gap, and they have to disarm bombs or defuse bombs. So the first participant diffuses bombs, and can do like maximum 3 mistakes, or it fails. And the second and third participants are experts. They give instructions and assist bomb diffuser, and the bombs are actually modular combinations that require problem solving skills to be diffused. I didn't really see that game, so I would just rely on what they said about it, because this is just like in the literature. So the virtual task was like involved like wire cutting, code breaking, maze negotiations, number and password memorization, etc. So the pre-task participants were briefed about the task and provided with manual charts and a specialized vocabulary list before doing the game. They also got a tutorial on how to play with the headset. So this is an important part. If you want to do this project, you have to first teach a student how to use it. There are a lot of technical glitches that you have to deal with, And then this game utilizes describing and communicating visual information, pedagogical task. It facilitates collaboration and encourages asking questions and finding textual information. And the result was that all these learners were successful in defusing the bombs. Participants were surveyed and all expressed joy and fun playing the game. They used more accurate language and listened well to do the task correctly. They produced language spontaneously. They stated that their experience was very real. The case study was very promising, but because of the small scale study, results cannot really be generalized. And as I said, the research on this is not really a lot, and we are starting to use it for language learning in classrooms. So that was about the game. And then what about AI? Can it be used in virtual worlds? Definitely. In fact, it has become like complementing this technology, and these technologies are being used today, like Conv AI is conversational artificial intelligence for virtual worlds. It's AI-based avatars capable of communicating with language learners, adapting to their proficiency levels and providing corrective feedback. Currently, the platform supports English, Russian, Chinese, Spanish, and Hindi. This platform can be utilized to create AI assignments for language learners, which can be completed either at home or in a lab setting. So what would be the role of language instructors then? What should we do? Okay, so imagine that they are recording your classrooms every day, and one day they are going to use this as a data to feed to the learning machines or machine learning systems, and they learn how to teach Persian from you. So those AI systems, and then the students just can log into an online university, will be in the classroom, and an avatar is teaching them exactly as you would teach them, So I would tell you, this is controversial. Everybody's talking about that. People like Elon Musk saying that 40% of the jobs will be gone, things like that. So most probably instructors will likely design task-based scenarios or any approach, functional language scenarios, and facilitate meaningful interactions and role plays. In these scenarios, language learners can engage with either human participants or AI-based avatars within a virtual or simulated environment. So as an instructor, you probably will design and develop algorithms or scenarios, and then you feed it to the system, and the system will execute this. So in fact, behind any AI system, there is an expert teacher, an expert language educator. Recently, metaverse is also being very popular among maybe, if I may say, gamers. You may have heard from, like, I don't know, students, kids playing with Minecraft, I don't know, from adults, Second Life, or Roblox things. So these are like metaverses. These are digital universe where users can interact with other users in a computer-generated environment. The metaverse enables immersive experience, often facilitated by VR and augmented reality. And recently, mixed reality. So here, there is an interview with this guy, with Mark Zuckerberg, and they use the recently latest Oculus Pro 3, and the system is actually put two people in different parts of the world, like different countries. It doesn't matter, anywhere. Put them together in one place, and this is their their scans, their avatars. But this is not cartonic avatars. The real pictures of you, the real 3D scan of you will be there in the metaverse, and you're going to interact and have a meeting. So imagine that one day you don't need to go to your work for meetings. You can do it in Zoom, but imagine that you can sit in that environment and people can see your hands and your face. And this is all done recently by this things. So I will try to play this. Let me share this in a video form so that it can be optimized for video. So
the following is a conversation with Mark Zuckerberg inside the metaverse. Mark and I are hundreds of miles apart from each other in physical space, but it feels like we're in the same room because we appear to each other as photorealistic codec avatars in 3D with spatial audio. This technology is incredible, and I think it's the future of how human beings connect to each other in a deeply meaningful way on the internet. These avatars can capture many of the nuances of facial expressions that we humans use to communicate emotion to each other. Now, I just need to work on upgrading my emotion expressing capabilities.
We've built a computer model of sort of each of our faces and bodies and the different expressions that we make, and collapse that into a codec that then, when you have the headset on your head, it sees your face, it sees your expression, and it can basically send an encoded version of what you're supposed to look like over the wire. So in addition to being photorealistic, it's also actually much more bandwidth efficient than transmitting a...
And just
have the whole process. Once you get mixed reality and augmented reality, we could have codec avatars like this and go into a meeting and have some people physically there and have some people show up in this photorealistic form.
So these two people actually are not in the same room. They're in different places, and but seeing each other and are talking to each other. So it really, really feels very realistic.
The following.
Okay, so we are in Persian classroom. So I designed a target task that was navigating through a Persian restaurant with cultural elements and describing objects and locations. It was based on a module in my textbook Persian Learner Part 3. This is a type of describing familiar objects, identifying cultural elements, navigating through a location. These are like task types, and pedagogical tasks that I defined this module, describing, like, again, familiar objects that involves speaking and listening, navigating through a location, instructing a student to navigate through a location, identifying cultural elements, explaining cultural values, things like that. And then I implemented using Oculus Meta Quest 2. I only had one headset, so these are the limitations that I had, but because it's a pilot project, it's okay. And I suggest that if you want to replicate this project, use only one headset because they are very expensive, and you just need to see how it works. And then once you got the feedback and probably you felt that you can deal with the technicalities, and then you can increase these headsets, and you can kind of create more immersive environment having other students. There are some logistic issues that I'm talking about that probably in Q&A we are going to talk about that as well. So the mode is simulation. This is a group, can be group activity or teacher-led. It can be student-led. So I used it as teacher-led because, as I told you, because of the technicality issues. But I will do that later on. I'm going to do with like a student-led project to see how it works as well. They are intermediate level. So this in this module, they learn about restaurant, Persian food, cultural thing that they use in a traditional restaurant. And sometimes if you have that environment, you can take them to. Otherwise, you can use this kind of simulations. So I use this project, this case study, in 2 semesters. One with 4 students and one with 12 intermediate level students. And I gave them just a simple questionnaire survey. So I received a feedback from the students who participated in this project. And this feedback was really highly positive and encouraging. So almost all the students expressed their interest in the project, and all actively participated. They expressed that their experience was very real and enjoyable. Only one student felt a bit of vertigo when moved around, so she didn't have her glasses. So that was something that I had anticipated before because of the research. And I know that if you want to do this kind of project, you should not use any motion VR. You have to be stationary so that it doesn't create this kind of feeling for those people who have not used before, especially. So the case study was very promising, but because of the small scale, again, the result cannot be generalized. So I'm going to show you part of it. I hope that you can see it. Let me show you one of the students here. نمیشنم سهراب هستم. مرسی. شاید مثلا حیوان در روی اون 360 کلیک کنی میره بیرون. بله اشکال نداره. خیلی خوب. توی اینجا که الان هستی اینجا رو برامون توصیف کن. بگو که چیا جلوت میبینی.
آره اینجا یه میز سیاه است و روی میز 3 تا گلدون گل هستند. بله. و در سمت چپ اتاق 2 تا گلدون بزرگتر هست و 2 تا. پشت گلدونا چیه؟ اون میز قرمز. آره. رو میز قرمز چیا میبینی؟ 3 تا سماور دارن. یه چراغ و 3 تا برو جلوتر. حالا بگو. نمیدونم به فارسی چی هستن؟ احتمالاً نلبکی و استکان هستن. بله. لیوان نلبکی و استکان. بله. و چند تا سماور گفتی؟ 3 تا. 3 تا سماور. بله. خیلی خب بپیچ به پشتت رو نگاه کن. بله. اون گوشه چی میبینی سمت راست پایین؟ این؟ بله. میتونی بری جلوتر که آبشاره. بله. بچه‌ها این چیه؟ توی فارسی 1 داشتیم. بله. حوض. بله. حوض با ضا هم نوشته میشه. بله. یه حوض آب هستش. بله. و بالای حوض چیا میبینی؟ این یه عکس دختره و روسری پوشیده. بله. سمت راست. و اینجا یه عکس دیگر. بله. یه تابلوه. درسته؟ تابلوه و یه دختره توش. مستقیم برو. این چیه؟ این تلویزیون. نه تلویزیون. پایینشو نگاه کن. پایینشو. Fireplace. نه. کسی میدونه این چیه؟ Anybody knows what is that? شما کلوی نمیدونی شما؟ بله. فکر میکنی این چیز قدیمیه یا جدیده؟ قدیمیه. بله. روش چه عکسایی میبینی؟ اینا شیرن و این یه مرد پیره اونجا. بله. این بچه هست آفرین، بله شبیه قاجار هستن. بله بسیار خوب بچه ها، این یه چیزی بوده شبیه تلویزیون قدیم، لنز نگاه میکردن توش نقاشی میدیدن، بهش میگفتن شهر فرنگ. شهر فرنگ، بله شبیه تلویزیونه. بله ولی خیلی خوب. and the other one is this one. بله بله خیلی خوب. از توی راهرو به تو راهرو، بله تا ته اون راهرو برید. بله اشکال نداره. دوباره اشکال نداره. اینجا الان چی میبینید جلوتون روی دیوار؟
دیوار دو تا تابلو میبینم.
بله.
دو تا پوسته میبینم.
بله.
یه کارت چی میشه؟
یه گاری.
یه
بله.
گاری هست روش لیوان چایی و
بله.
یه شمدون گذاشته.
روی میز چی میبینی؟ روی میزی که بالای گاری هست.
روی میز بالای گاری؟ اینجا؟
بله بله.
اینجا خیلی لیوان شراب بالا گذاشته، یه سماور اینجا گذاشته. دیگه چی هست؟
بله. سمت چپتون چی میبینید؟
سمت چپ.
بله. اینجا رو دیوار چی میبینید؟
یه نقشه هست.
بله. نقشه کجاست؟
پرژا.
بله. نقشه ایران باستان هست.
ایران
بله. بغل نقشه سمت چپ بله چیه؟
اینجا؟
بله بله.
یه ساعت خیلی بزرگ.
روی ساعت چی میبینی؟
سماوره؟
بله یه سماوره. بسیار
خیلی بزرگ.
بله بله. خیلی خوب. به چرخ دوباره. ببین میتونی بری سمت در.
سمت در اینجا؟
در سمت راست. بله. رو در کلیک کن. رو خود در.
کجا؟
اشکال نداره. اشکال نداره. مشکل نیست. خیلی خوب. روبرو سمت راستت چی میبینی؟ اون بله اینجا چی میبینی؟
اینجا دو تا قیلی گذاشتم، یه شراب اون بالا.
بله.
جامعه شراب گذاشتم.
بله.
اینم دیگه دروز.
یه کمد هست.
یه کمد هست.
بله مرسی. خیلی خب. I know it was just two small demos and we are going to talk about that if you have any question later on. So the limitations on VR, training is essential for both instructors and learners to ensure successful lessons. Instructors who aim to develop their own VR apps such as metaverse learning environments may need to acquire coding skills with Unity. So that's the coding language that you have to use. I didn't use Unity. I used Matterport, which is like already built 3D environments, and they already have some environments. But I also designed, used pictures of homes in order to design and to develop another task, which is like a kind of real estate agent is selling homes, and then two students are going to do this role plays. One is real estate agent, and the other one is going to buy or rent a house. And then the real estate agent show the home, and the student asks questions. For example, how many bedrooms, how many things like that. So there are some VR cameras and some Iranians who are actually doing that back in Iran, but it has not been like based on any kind of like scenarios that we want. So we have to build those things by ourselves, probably have a technical team who go and take pictures of home in like VR, and then we can fit this to our task-based teaching approaches. So that's a limitation, like coding or using this technical expertise. Then there is another limitation, lack of seeing faces and feeling face-to-face emotions like body language
that may be ratified by the new technology that is, you saw Mark Zuckerberg, so we may be able to show the expression body language. It may become still much better. It won't become reality. So we have to know that virtual reality is not reality. Okay, it's still virtual. And also sometimes it's expensive. The Quest 2 is about $300. The new one, Quest version 3, is about $500. Other versions are more expensive. Like I think other companies like Apple may have developed this kind of technology. The headset was a bit heavy, as you probably noticed. So they are doing their efforts to make it like just glasses, so it would be very light. And VR physical movements activities may cause nausea and vertigo sometimes. So you have to avoid using those kinds of activities that involve some motions, or if you have the cameras, you have to be careful not to move the camera fast. It should be very slowly and very subtly, because it will create vertigo on the people. And then there might be cognitive overload in VR context. So we have to be careful not to put a lot of information that it becomes like an overload. And I told you that it's not a substitute for reality, rather a way to enhance learning experience. So it's still assisting language technology. And also in terms of research, it's hard and time consuming to create control groups for VR researches. So suggestions, if you want to do this task in your classes, don't buy a lot of Oculus headsets. Start with few devices because they are expensive and their technology become obsolete very quickly. Don't start with moving apps such as roller coasters apps or the ones that do motions like tours. It will create motion sickness. So start with like stationaries. Consider training time for users before using an Oculus. Teach them how to use the the joystick and the headset and the keys. It's not that difficult. Students immediately got that, but still you need to train them. Develop just 1 or 2 lessons to start with VR. And if you wanted to develop it by yourself at the beginning, you will find out that sometimes there are apps that will make life easier. So you have to do a research to see what is available. So that would be easier for you. And I saw some apps like VR-edu, vredu.cc in that website. They even told me that they provide the Oculus for free to me. So there are organizations that have grants, actually. You can get this Oculus for free for your classroom. And there are grants that they will give you, the US government gives you the opportunity to develop these kinds of educational experiences. Some reflections, the potential applications of VR are vast, and given that it is a relatively new technology, additional research and exploration are necessary. There is a lack of VR-based pedagogies, as I mentioned before. Research could have not caught up with the pace of the technology yet. Sometimes it's just going very fast. And also it's crucial to acknowledge that technology alone, without a solid theoretical foundation and relevant pedagogy, is merely a novelty. Therefore, it's essential to integrate VR as a supplementary tool rather than the sole focus of language instruction for now. And then VR has the potential to provide learners with immersive and multisensory experience. Really, it just enhances their learning experience. The need for appropriate training for educators is also a challenge. We need instructors to develop, probably new pedagogical strategies and proficient in utilizing the technology. So professional development programs and ongoing support are essential to ensure educators can maximize the benefits of VR in their teaching practices. So what we did, for example, we tried to connect to Department of Computer Science, and in fact, they had actually a department for VR in our university in Viterbi, and they were very willing to help us with the technicalities. And for Oculus, you can also talk to libraries. They can buy it and they can give it to you. You can borrow them and then return them. So these are the things that you can do if you want to use it in your programs. It's also important to note that while VR has matured, there is still room for further development and innovation. So technology continues to evolve and will contribute to even more effective and immersive educational VR experiences. So these are some steps that I used, just sharing with you. So you see that I projected the VR into my class so that other students can see it as well. If they have Oculus, you can put them all together, but it sometimes is not useful, and it's not really suggested to do that. You can use like role plays with 2 students with just 2 headsets, but the others, they can't see what they are doing on the projector. So you go to the Meta and create an account, meta.com, and which is like the Facebook interface, and then oculus.com/casting, and then you go to your headset and then try to cast it to your laptop in the classroom, and then you connect your laptop to the projector, so then students can see that. And then the project that I did was in matterport.com. So there's a browser in Oculus. You go and click on the browser, you bring this Matterport, and then you bring your 3-dimensional environment. And then you just click on VR, and then it goes, the student goes inside the environment. As I said, there are lots of apps that they want to, work for you to create this kind of technology for you, like Immerse Me and Immerse. In one of them, it was an amazing thing. I saw that this developed for chemistry students. So the students go to the lab, and there is this avatar of a professor standing there, which is AI, and the students start to ask questions from the professor. And then the professor gives this board to them that are all elements of chemistry, Lavoisier table, and then you take like the elements from the table, like lithium, sodium, chlor, and then you see them, and you with your joysticks you are actually doing that. And then you put them together, and then the professor tells you that what kind of bond is between these 2 molecules. So this is an amazing immersive technology that is being used now, and people are using it already. So a special, you can set up your own virtual environment, interact with other users. Those cameras are not expensive. 260 degrees camera you can buy, and you can do it. You can even, if you go to Matterport, you can use even your phone, your iPhone, and then scan your room or the classroom, and then create that environment in your own classroom. So this is like an amazing thing. If you travel to Iran, you can take your iPhone, go to a traditional restaurant and do that, scan the place, and then you have it. And then you can bring it to your account in Matterport, and the accounts are actually free. They're still, everything is free. So these are some of them. There are also some research forums like Calico, calico.org. You can go, and if you want to have more information. Then there are VR chat, and the USC is developing something that called Lang Chat, and this is like ChatGPT but for languages. So it can role play for the students. It's a chat system that can role play. As a teacher, you can say which level, it adjusts to the level, and then it is available in all languages, including Persian. And they can chat actually with that computer, in the language of their choice. So these are the things that can be done. So that's it for today. So I'm here to answer your questions if you may have any questions. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Peyman Can, for this very interesting, modern talk. I learned a lot. I'm sure everybody did too. Peyman and I go back a long time, right? We were in the University of Ottawa together, and I think we both graduated in the same year, 2012, if I'm not mistaken. And whenever I hear the word technology and Persian, the mental concept in my brain is Peyman's face. So that's how I see Peyman, and like he's really an authority in the field of computational linguistics and technology, use of technology in Persian. So I feel very lucky to have you talk to us about your passion today. Peyman also did some research, a lot of research about TBLT, so task-based language teaching. And today he married these two passions of his, TBLT as well as technology and VR. So I just go very quickly through some of the topics that he discussed. I'm sure that all of you are familiar with the task-based language teaching, but Peyman went over them by saying that it's actually focuses on real actions, and there are some principles to it, like it is learning by doing, and then he mentioned about learner needs, authentic input, focus on form, it's collaborative, and the feedback focuses on the accuracy, and of course there are different task types. And then he talked about the technology effectiveness, that they are effective because they engage learners, they are multimodal input, so they are more effective, they are interactive as well as collaborative, and we can have simulations of the real world by using them. He also mentioned that they're adaptable, yet they are emotionless, and hopefully in the future that will be rectified. He talked about virtual reality, 3D world, and AI, and whether we should be worried. He talked about the limitations of these kind of technological means, like timing, costs, sometimes health. Then he gave us some suggestions to use the VR, and then he showed us very good VR apps that if you're interested, you can follow up. He showed us my most, the most interesting thing to me was the use of VR in Persian language classroom, and how you ask your students actually to use it. And I have a question here, maybe before I open the floor, because it's a continuation of what I was just telling you. So I noticed that when one of the students was wearing this Oculus, right, the headset, the other people were kind of, talking or chatting together. So I was wondering what you have thought of about using this kind of technology, but involving everybody in class rather than just one person. And I was just wondering if this is better be used as, like a self-taught, self-learning environment rather than in a class, unless everybody has one of these headsets. To me, it sounds a little bit difficult to manage. And what is the advantage of it as compared to, let's say, showing a video of, like you mentioned, real estate agent showing a house and apartment in Tehran and then involving everybody in it, So I just wanted you to briefly explain that, and then the floor will be open to questions from the audience.
Yeah, because it was a pilot project, I would say you need a lot of preparations. So it was for the first time, students were very excited. We're talking about how to use it, and it was not a very, I would say, an environment that was also ready for that technology yet. So I had some issues to project it today. So that was for the first time. And yeah, if you can use more Oculus so that give all the students the same place, that would become easier to involve everybody. But it was also an issue of like technical issues as well, because if they don't work well, it would be frustrating. So I would say that for the next experiments, it would become easier to use that. And I would still recommend it to use it in classroom, because you want to bring this this experiential learning that is for in practical environments, So what it would be like, yeah, you can use it like for doing assignments as well, students at home. But I think that it has some effects on other students because they are also learning. Some of the students are also learning other stuff from the experiment. So so that's things that refer to like how you manage to use this. So I'm sure that if you use it in a classroom, you are going to see some kind of like challenging issues that you are going to face, and you as a teacher, you are the only person that could find solutions how to manage that. So I would say that technical issues are the most problematic parts of like this project, but once you are done with that, you are good with that, then you will be able to manage it very well.
Thank you, Peyman. Do we have any questions from the audience? If not, there's a question in the chat. Maybe I read that and then people can think about their questions. So Kiana asks, are there any privacy data security concerns regarding using VR in educational institutions? If so, are there ways to mitigate them?
You are like the HIPAA laws and rules that the United States, you have to keep the information of your students confidential. So you can ask like your IRB for if you need any like clearance doing like this kind of experiments. Definitely you should consider that and ask the students for the consent before doing that. Give them consent forms that what you are doing, and it would be beneficial to them. If you are going to implement it in your syllabus, definitely give very detailed information that what you are going to do and what is your expectations from the students. Definitely these things are important and you have to think ahead. So there are a lot of preparation before you go to the class and do this. And I just saw one of my colleagues, Neda Sahravan, also showed some of the pictures in the classroom that she's also using, different pictures of the students. So my basic argument here was that this is just not showing pictures or tours. It has to be connected to a curriculum, where to use it, why to use it, is it meaningful to use it? So you have to have an approach and you have to have a methodology, and it has to be connected to your module. So my students know about the restaurant very well already because we had studied things like that. And it was like kind of like learning feedback on their language generation. So things like that, so if that's the case, then it would be meaningful, purposeful. So it would be great. And you will see that students really are engaged and really find it fun.
It is fun for sure. Thank you, Peyman. So we have Narges, then Gözde, and Ali.
Thank you, Pune, and thank you, Peyman, for a wonderful presentation. I really appreciated it. I thoroughly enjoyed, especially your last point that you made, that you need to think about how it connects with the curriculum, what is meaningful. And clearly, it seems to me that for this generation, it is incredibly engaging. My question was, is there, yes, this is a beginning study, I understand that, but in addition to sort of anecdotal evidence and as a trained eye of the teacher, are there any objective assessments that you did comparing use of this technology versus not use of this technology?
Yeah, I haven't done it yet. As I mentioned, the creating control groups is like difficult and it needs time for doing that. But I looked at the literature. There are not also a lot of thing going on, especially in language learning, settings. So people are just trying to use it as a pilot program, case studies, but soon we are going to be able to see if there is any significant, evidence showing that this is more effective than not using it, But from the surveys that I received, students are really showing, a lot of, you see that a lot of engagements in those things, and they said that we are going to really learn a lot from these things. For example, those cultural elements, like Shahr Farang, which is like very rare. You could find it in like perhaps museums, or it wouldn't come up in any normal environment. So this would be really probably good for them. And in another class, I remember that I showed students some of the miniatures and pictures of Shahnameh, and the students were telling me that, oh, I learned about it in another lesson. I know about this story in Shahnameh. So this is the depiction of that. So these are showing very promising effects. And I say that this is still an assisting technology, but it is showing promising. And I hope that in the future we will be able to show how effective it is based on research.
Thank you very much. And Gözde?
Thank you very much for this fascinating talk, Professor. And sorry for my voice. I've been a bit sick. So when you showed the video of Mark Zuckerberg and the interview, I immediately thought, oh, we could use it to, match the students with native speakers living in the country where the language that we teach is spoken, like pen pals or sister classrooms, that sort of thing. But again, going back to the same question of the actual advantage, would it really be more pedagogically efficient than doing the same thing over Zoom, for example, which is more accessible and simpler? But as you said, like, more research will probably tell us if there's really a cognitive advantage as to being in the immersive environment as well. So thank you. The little technical question I had is about the 3D environments. So you mentioned we can easily create using 3D cameras, even with an iPhone. Do you think it's possible to change existing photos, videos, images into ones that might be possible to use in VR settings? It might be.
There might be applications that put together the pictures that you have and creates. Yeah, it might be. Everything is possible now with the technology.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm asking because I collect, I have a big inventory of photos I took when I was
especially if you have panoramas.
Yeah, panoramas especially. Yeah, because we also see such pictures like in museums. There's a 3D you can visit through without a VR. So maybe. Okay, thank you so much.
So,
I appreciate
in terms of the metaverse, the body language is being used, because now the Oculus has cameras that will look at your hands and look at your face. It has face recognition, actually. So it gets the information from your face and put into that avatar. That's why you become like you're in a meeting with somebody else from other parts of the world, but that person is going to see all your facial expressions. So that would be a very important aspect of this technology, I believe.
Of course, fascinating. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Ali?
Thank you very much for the lovely lecture, Peyman. It was lovely because there were so many new elements of teaching techniques. But regarding the technology and the use of technology in the classes, because, some time ago in Iran, when I was teaching in different language institutes and a short time in Toronto, we were using very simple, pieces of technology, like the videos, like the other things, and I don't know. I've been away from ESL classes for some time. I don't know if they're using the technologies that you're talking about, the VR or what. So, sometimes when I was listening to you, dear Peyman, I was living on Mars, you know. It's a kind of dreamlike situation. I'm asking other colleagues sitting here and you as well, and Pune, are these possibilities practical and manageable in ESL classrooms? Because ESL classrooms, as far as I know, as far as I've been involved in, they are very archaic, actually, I should say. They live in the era of translation, not translation, sorry, what do you call it? Parroting teaching and this and that, and teaching a lot of grammar and teaching a lot of exercises on vocabulary, which mostly useless. And then the students were going to real world working at Tim Hortons and this and that, and they learned the language there, not in our classes. This is really, I hear from some of my colleagues, this is exactly happening right now in ESL classes. So how do you, so I'm asking a question. How do you practical see this kind of technology or these kinds of technology in real world, even in Canada? Thank you.
Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, I think that if anybody else wants to answer this question, please welcome. I believe that technology is inevitable and it's there already. So we are a little bit maybe back in the using technology in our classrooms, and we have to, you know, do that soon. Sooner or later, we are going to see administrators that are coming after you and saying that, oh, what are you using in order to enhance your learning, or something like that. So I would say that a lot of institutions are already started to use at least assistive technology. And in fact, even in those traditional classrooms, you still use audios, videos, you know, pictures, things like that, projectors, I don't know, all of them. And the Zoom, actually, the pandemic era, kind of give all the people, this means that, it's not that difficult to go online, you know. So people are now meeting online easily. And most of the university meetings have become Zoom now. Nobody's going to now take this traffic going to school for a meeting, and everybody's meeting on Zoom. So if we have metaverse very soon, and I'm saying that very soon, maybe just next year, and people can meet with each other, just seeing each other perfectly in those environments. So why we don't use it? We should. And I think we have to, if our administration is it's just sleeping, we have to waking them up and saying that, look, this is available and not really expensive. As I told you, there are grants and organizations that are willing to give this technology to you and to train you, to educate you, and enable you to use them. And for sure, we said many times here that there is no research, and it's just more anecdotal. But believe me, in cognitive science, multimodal sensory has been proved in a lot of literature that is effective. It means that you can use pictures, you know, audios, colors, and simulations. You know, now pilots are being trained on flight simulators. It's working perfect. And once they sit on the airplane, they can do everything because it has enhanced their learning. So lots of evidence showing that this technology, assistive technology, immersive technology is effective, you know, at least in other fields. So I suspect that it would be very effective in language teaching as well.
Thank you so much, Peyman. Just one more question, maybe which is related to what you were talking about. Is this technology also useful for the productive skills, or do you think it's mostly for the receptive skills? And then after you have answered that, maybe you can tell us a little bit about the ChatGPT for language learning in your university. Is it also two-way? Like, are the students able to practice their speaking as well as just their reading, or how does that work?
Yeah, you can use this technology in any mode that you want. Interpersonal would be very interactive. As I said, like if you design, for example, that scenario, the role plays that there is this real estate agent selling homes, and two students are involved and showing the rooms. You go through the rooms, and the student said that, where is the balcony? Or how many, for example, restroom does it have? And said, oh, let me show you here. And then they start to, talk. And you can, it depends on how you design your tasks. If your tasks are interpersonal, interactive, you can easily use these environments, and you can easily link them to these environments. If you want just to be interpretive, just sending to tours. So it depends on how you use it, but it shows that it can, it can be employed for anything in terms of like language skills, and also cultural. You see a lot of culture in that. If you use it for like as a metaverse, that would be, you can arrange debates, for example, between people. In higher advanced language classrooms, if you simulate debates, for example, debating with someone. So this can be used in that way. For the ChatGPT, we have some universities developing LangChat, like USC, which is a chat for language. So if you want to do that, ChatGPT has an API called a module that you can use it. It's open source. You can use it to, you can implement your own language, like web application, and then use this in your program. And since the data is not, significant for Persian language, but for other languages, it works very well. For Persian, perhaps it works in like good for lower level, but you can use that as like simulating conversations with a chat system, with a computer AI system, and students can type, or I believe that they can also speak to. So that's what is being done. But soon we are going to have, chat systems that you can easily chat with an avatar and AI in any language.
Yeah, Azitajan.
Okay, thank you so much, Peyman John. I just wanted to hear to our audiences and their engagement in their discussion. For the last question, I just wanted to, first of all, thank you for highlighted the advantages of AI, because in our university, they started to talk about AI from 6 months, 7-8 months ago. But the majority of our colleagues have a very bad experience with that, because perhaps they do not know how much AI can be useful in their classroom. I'm very happy that you opened this discussion in our lecture series specifically for language classroom. My question is that related totally to AI, and you mentioned that teacher, the instructor, the professors can involve in making task-based AI material. I was wondering, is there any specific training we need for that? You mentioned that something like an algorithm and so on.
If you want to design your own modules, VR modules or VR and AI modules, you may need technical help. You can seek this help from any department in your, like some universities, they have a Center for Excellence in Teaching, for example. They can connect you with experts that can help you develop those kinds of things. But as a teacher, you should have all the means, the curriculum, the lesson plan, and then you define what you want. I have seen these people eager to hear from us. and they are coming to all conferences that are language, and they are just saying that, oh, we have this system and we can do this. Just tell us what you want, and we are creating it for you. And that's one thing that you can do. Otherwise, if you want to train yourself, you know, this is a word that I would say YouTube University. So I go to the YouTube University and learn from it. You know, guys, this is just amazing. I learned a lot from YouTube. So today you can learn anything, and the knowledge is going everywhere. So it's just not you know, specific for experts. And if you don't do that, soon you are going to end up in a traditional classroom that is probably maybe boring and repetitive. And you may be soon, or I don't know, they may soon eliminate your job. So you have to think of you know, you have to do this kind of professional development. As an administrator, you have to do this for your teachers, your instructors, if you are.
Yeah, thank you, Peyman John, for this point, because for all of us in teaching less commonly taught languages, the number of the students is very important. This is the best way that we involve the administration and try to convince them, specifically if we have to deal with expensive tools, they have to deal with that if they ask us for more enrollment in our less commonly taught languages, because this is the future. This is something that we cannot avoid it. We have to deal with that, and I am sure that we all can do it if we have a good support of administration. Try to convince them to help us based on the technology and everything. And thank you so much, Peyman John, for this inspirational, really inspirational talk.
Thank you very much for having me.
Of course. I'm afraid we don't have any more time for more questions. You can contact Peyman directly. I just wanted to thank everybody for their questions, to thank our speaker, and also to thank Dr. Mir-Djalali, who joined us. And I will give the floor back to Azita to give the closing remarks.
Thank you so much, Punejan, and thank you everybody, all audiences that on Saturday, on November 11th, Remembrance Day, you joined us and engaging in this discussion. And we have to thank especially to Peyman because of this inspirational and interesting, very interesting topic and discussion. I just wanted to tell you before we leave for resting the rest of the weekend, the last talk of our second language pedagogy of Persian, new trends and innovative is on December 2nd. It's the last but not the least. My friend, my colleague, Professor Pune Shabani Jadidi, is supposed to talk about ABC or BCA, what to teach first, a psycholinguistic approach to teaching Persian as a second language. We are waiting to see all of you on December 2nd for the last lecture of our series, and we wish you a wonderful weekend and hope to see you soon. Have a resting and nice weekend. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye.